What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 83 today for the Bahrain Grand Prix in Season 5. If you did miss the last episode, be sure to go check that one out before you check out the rest of this one. And you can see here the engine management going to this race. Pretty okay on column 1, of course, the start of the season, so no point changing the columns around. And really, I'm thinking about basically just trying to stretch this first column as long as we can really go, to be honest, because I'm not too sure what the reliability is going to be like. I saw a few comments on the first episode of this season saying that I may have issues with a gearbox, but you know, since we've had 4 seasons now of the AI team of Force India developing the car, that may not be an issue. And of course, we saw they've done 2 upgrades on the internal combustion engine. I think it was 2 on the MGU-H. They've done nothing on the MGU-K, which may come into play later on, because even though we do have the Mercedes power unit, I'm actually using a fair bit of rich mix anyway so far in this season, because I may as well exploit the fact that my engine's very, very good. So it means I can gain so much more on the straight. So even though I may be losing maybe up to half a second maybe compared to a car like the Red Bull car in the corners, I can gain pretty much most of that back in the straights due to how good the rich mix works on the Mercedes powered Force India car. So a little bit of a toss-up and compromise there, and we may need to do some more compromising for the sake of saving the MGU-K later on in the season. But we moved through practice then. We started off with a bit of a failure in practice, but obviously having ages in FP1, FP2 and FP3, that wasn't any kind of issue. Thankfully, I don't think it's going to happen in qualifying. I've not seen it happen multiple times in a session. That would really be some very poor reliability. So we move through then quickly into Q1 then. So Bahrain obviously has been a pretty big bogey circuit for myself personally against the AI in this year's game. I just haven't got that speed around this track to really match them competitively as much as I'd want to at other circuits, and especially, you know, the first 2 at Australia and China. So it always seems like a drop off on pace massively at Bahrain compared to there. And as we go through Q1, we do make into Q2. You can see in P10 then, but Perez only in P8, so that kind of gave me maybe some kind of hope that actually maybe my pace is not too bad. And obviously this is the first time, well, it's the first time every single circuit we're coming to the circuits with a Mercedes powered car. But what I'm trying to get at is, you know, so far it seemed like Bahrain on the game has been very much a power circuit. In real life it kind of is a power circuit, but there's also that compromise of aerodynamics in the second sector. But on the game it really seems like it benefits having a really strong power unit. So coming here with the Force India car now, I'm looking to maybe do it a little bit better than I have done in seasons gone by. So we come across the line in Q2 then for our first flying lap, and it's not an amazing one. We find more time then on our second flying lap, and we're in P10 at the moment, so right on the bubble and the cusp of getting into the top 10 for Q3. We come across the line, and it is going to be a very strong lap time then. P5 and Sergio Perez P9, and we are on the super soft tyres. We haven't bothered being on the soft tyres, unlike Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel, who have qualified on the soft tyres. That's because from seasons gone by, we've seen that the tyre wear is very high, so it's going to be a default 2-stop. And also, generally, the super softs are going to work so much better at the start of this race. We've seen generally the soft and even more so the medium tyres are horrendous around this circuit for race pace, so I'd rather be on the super soft tyres at the start of this Grand Prix to try and get ahead of people, and then it's a case of maybe we'll have to do some defending all race long. I'm hoping maybe not all race long, maybe we can try and attack some people, we'll have to see. But we come across the line then for our Q3 lap time, and it's going to be P5 at the moment as we cross the line, and it's going to end up being P6, so I am absolutely ecstatic with that. I'm so happy with that. You know, probably one of my worst, if not the worst circuit of mine around this entire calendar. So for us to be P6, beating Sergio Perez, really awesome day in qualifying on Saturday. Sebastian Vettel then on pole position, and the Red Bull guys seem to have dropped off a little bit of pace in this third round then compared to the first 2 rounds. Obviously Verstappen won the last round, and I fended off him for the win in the first round. So surprising to see the Red Bulls fall off a little bit, but maybe Ferrari and Mercedes have brought some upgrades. Also, obviously, as I just said, it's a power circuit in a way, so Red Bull maybe finally suffering a bit from their Renault-powered engine. So we'll see what we can do from P6, but I'm in a really good mood now after that great qualifying and looking forward to this race. So let's look at the full grid, and then we'll get into it.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Ricciardo, a Force India, and Hülkenberg, Bottas, Perez, Palmer, and Kevin Magnussen, Massa, Sainz, Romain Grosjean, and Kvyat, Raikkonen, Alonso, Lance Stroll, and Pascal Wehrlein. Van Dorn and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So onto the starting grid, and Kimi Räikkönen there had an engine penalty, and he was down the order, I think, on the third last row, so we move up into P5, so even better start to this race then. You can see that two-stop I was talking about, super soft tyres, two sets of soft tyres, so there's going to be a lot of tyre wear, but surprisingly, actually, I think from last season as well, the default was including a medium tyre, so it looks like the tyre wear is so good on the Force India that the default engineer strategy has two sets of softs and just completely ignores the medium tyres, which is good for me, because as I said, the medium tyres are horrible. So looking good. I mean, the car is already going to benefit from that in the end, and you can see we're going to fill up on some fuel to hopefully use that down the main straight. Let's get into this. I'm looking forward to this one. Hopefully this can be a good Bahrain Grand Prix for once as we go to 5. Red lights then for round number 3 of Season 5 is underway, and it is a good start for us, a great start in fact against Daniel Ricciardo, and we're up into P4 already after starting lights, and we go down towards turn 1. Hamilton to the inside of Hamilton to try and take the lead this Grand Prix. We go to the inside of Verstappen. Hulkenberg comes out of nowhere though to go down our inside, and we have to kind of cut the corner somewhat in turn 2, try and give him some room, and Hulkenberg doesn't give us too much room on the left hand side. He's squeezed his way up into P4. Will he try anything to the inside of Verstappen? No, he won't. We're going to try our best to feed it round the outside as we end sector 1, and we're going to try and get back up into P4, but Hulkenberg's going to give us a good old fight, and he's got the much better line. We've gone deep into that right-hander, and he's got it back, and for now we're going to have to tuck him behind and maybe wait till the next straight as we move on to the end of lap 1 then through the last corner. It's actually going to be us looking backwards rather than forwards. Meanwhile, as Hamilton goes for the lead of this Grand Prix against Sebastian Vettel, it's his teammate Valtteri Bottas who's going to be looking at me to try and get this P5 off me. We go defensive to the inside then. Up ahead though, there's Vettel, and he's had a calamity. Vettel from the lead of this Grand Prix is now down to 4th place. He's been overtaken by 3 cars there. Hamilton now leads the way from Verstappen to Hulkenberg, and Vettel down to P4, and now he's the car right ahead of us. So just like last season, I think he had a similar issue into turn 1, and we nearly smashed into him into turn 1 last season. So he's had a similar thing. I would imagine maybe a lock-up into turn 1, and so Sebastian looks to be struggling. And like I kind of mentioned briefly in qualifying, I said the super softs are going to perform so much better than the softs at the start of this race. Bahrain just benefits a lot more from the softer tyre of compound, and so it's just definitely not the race tyre to be on. So we now go on for an overtake on Sebastian Vettel. Very easy, no DRS needed in fact, just rich mix flowing there, and into turn 1 then hitting the apex, and we're up into P4 on lap 3, and Vettel looking behind us, struggling somewhat as he's not keeping up with us with the proximity area. He's falling back to Bottas, so maybe the 2 soft tyre runners are going to have their own little squabble as we get away as we move now towards lap 6. We've got 1 car in the pit lane, and that's going to be Nico Hulkenberg, so we're up into P2. Hamilton's already pit from the lead of this Grand Prix, so that leads Max Verstappen to lead a Grand Prix once again, and again Verstappen is the man staying out longer on his same set of softer tyres. I'm going to do the same. Obviously I'm staying with him at the moment, lap 6, but kind of a very odd thing, a specific trait to Verstappen's AI seems to be he just keeps going longer and longer on the softest compound of tyre and tries to match the people who did alternate Q2 strategy. Meanwhile, I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm having to defend from Bottas though, having done that on lap 7 now. Bottas down my inside. We give him the room to the outside then, but going to try and squeeze him as hard as we can, but he's got the legs on me, and he's actually shoved me off a little bit onto the curbing like Hulkenberg did on lap 1. We're going to go aggressive to the inside then. He's defended to the middle of the circuit, but we nip it to the inside, hit the curbing there, and going to open up the steering wheel, and as we look behind us, it's then Palmer that darts into view, so it looks like Bottas got all crossed up then in the brake zone, and so we're going to keep P2 for now. And as much as I want to try and keep going as long as Verstappen looks to be going, we're going to come in now, and actually, as saying that, actually, I think Verstappen's ought to come in this lap, so literally myself and Verstappen have done the exact same thing, tried to stretch the super soft as long as Bottas and Vettel have taken their soft tyres, and the same can be said of Julian Palmer, and that Haas has just gone down the pit lane. So as we it's a good pit stop for us as we come out, and we're ahead of Bottas still, but you can see there Palmer is going to be behind all 3 of us, 4 of us in fact, the Haas as well. So Force India, Mercedes, Ferrari all doing a better job than the Renault team there to get ahead in the pit lane there. Unfortunate for Renault to be down the pit lane, so they get held up obviously as they have to wait for the green light. So we come out then in P13 just behind Daniel Ricciardo then, and remember we jumped Ricciardo at the start of this race off the 5 red lights, so Ricciardo's made an undercut work very well, pitting a lot earlier than us, probably 2-3 laps earlier, and so he's battling through the traffic, and we'll have to do the same now as we get up to Fernando Alonso's been shoved off by the Australian. Can we make a move to the outside then? Probably a bad choice really, because I get hit with understeer, and just like when I lost the place to Holcomb over lap 1, we have to settle behind Alonso and we have to wait patiently. So frustrating here. We've got 2 McLarens to pass because Van Dorn is just up ahead of Ricciardo. So both of us having to slice through some traffic. And so really we've actually timed this pit stop a little bit badly as we go down the inside now of Alonso. On the exit though, we'll get the power down. You can see the difference between the Honda and the Mercedes power unit then. Meanwhile, Ricciardo up ahead, who makes a move on Van Dorn. Bottas equally behind me makes the move on Alonso down the inside. Ricciardo down the inside of Van Dorn, and that will leave Van Dorn vulnerable to us as we climb up the hill now. And we're up into P12. Can we try and get P11? We're gaining rapidly. We're going to send it down the inside to the apex there, kissing the apex, and we narrowly just miss making contact with the Belgian, and we're up into P11 then. And so that's a nice move, and we can try and close up on Ricciardo. Meanwhile, Bottas also follows me through and pretty much is using me as a little bit of a tow line there, and he's up at the order as well. So now I'm up into P7, Bottas in P8 now, as a few people have made their pit stops, and we've got a Sauber though going a lot longer in this Grand Prix of Marcus Ericsson. We're going to feed it to the inside then, and Ericsson though is going to be a bit of a mobile chicane really, and he's going to be a bit of a thorn in my plans. He's still able to keep it side by side with us. Bit of tyre tapping on the left front there. We actually brake early, do a switchback move, go to the inside then of the next corner, lock up horribly on the left front, but we're still able to get the move done, and we're up into P6, but definitely got held up more than I really wanted to ideally with the Sauber. Whereas we come across the line then on lap 10, setting a personal best. We're up into P4 as the final 2 people make their pit stops, and so to say we're in P4 now after all of that overtaking and a loss of time, pretty good. Obviously we have lost the place to Ricciardo. To be fair to him, Ricciardo's done very well, and from qualifying Red Bull losing a bit of pace, the Red Bulls look to be having a bit more better race pace than they did in qualifying at least. So good for them at least, and unfortunate for us as we now move on to lap 12, having to defend now from Sebastian Vettel, the man who was leading this Grand Prix at one point, and now both Ferraris actually are behind me at this moment in time as Bottas now tries to make it 3 wide to the outside, both their proximity arrows either side of me, and Bottas trying to force a move into turn 2. We just about hang it through for P4, and Bottas slows down massively, and so now he's susceptible to the 2 Ferrari cars. Vettel to the inside and Raikkonen even further to the inside to make it 3 wide into the end of sector 1. There's contact between Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. Raikkonen's through and he's up into P5 then. Vettel trying to fight him though on the exit. Will they go side by side? Yes, they will, through the S section, and Vettel, fantastic start from the German to come back, and he's back into P5. Wonderful fight between the 2 Ferraris and Valtteri Bottas there, and Bottas is the main loser. Tried to make 1 place up and lost 1 instead to Raikkonen. So now it's myself, Vettel, Raikkonen and Bottas and a Renault line astern as we go down the main straight. Vettel to the inside. I believe Raikkonen's also going to try and make it 3 wide. Oh, there's contact! And we're round! And he's out Vettel out of the Grand Prix. I'm not too sure on the right-hand side. He's definitely made some contact into the barrier. We've lost our front wing, and oh, Hamilton narrowly misses our rear end there as we reverse on the track. We're still going. We've lost our entire front wing. Thankfully, though, prayers to the F1 racing gods, we've not lost the wheel. We're still in this Grand Prix. P10, full safety car course is out, and I don't know, I think maybe Sebastian Vettel may be out this Grand Prix along with, it looks like, the Mercedes car of Valtteri Bottas. This camera angle on the replay doesn't show us too much then, it just shows us another angle of that calamity of a crash. Let's look at this again now, on board with Sebastian Vettel now as he comes through down the main straight, and I don't know really what goes on here. Oh, that's just such a weird crash there between myself and Sebastian. If we look through a little bit closer as he rewind and basically pause it at the exact moment the contact's made between our 2 wheels, the sidewalls touching, you can see Vettel's steering wheel looked to be turning a little bit left, and mine was pretty flat as it could be. So I'm really not too sure what on earth really went on there, what was going through the mind of Vettel, or what went on earth with my car. I really can't call that. If it was, I think we're kind of half and half to blame in a way, but at the same time, both of us were going in a straight line, so I don't really know what's caused our cars to really spin. It looks like maybe just the actual physical act of having the sidewalls connecting our 2 tyres just span up our 2 cars right and then into Raikkonen's path. Raikkonen lost a bit of his front wing. I'm not too sure if he's had to pit. For sure, myself and Vettel have to pit. It's Bottas is the only one out of this Grand Prix then from that instance. So Vettel and myself very lucky to not be out this Grand Prix, and Raikkonen, I guess you could say as well. But a spectacular crash then as the 2 Ferraris effectively T-boned me into the pit lane wall. But Yeah, very odd one to call. I would say 50-50, and I still can't really call it. If it is partly my fault, I'll put my hands up for that, but in my opinion, I was just going in a straight line, really, and it all kind of happened in a flash, so I couldn't really react enough in time to anything. So either way, though, we have to deal with it. So we're down to P17, Vettel's in P18, and on the restart of the safety car now, on lap 16, we're up into P16, overtaking Alonso and diving down the inside of Pascal Wehrlein now, and once again, we're looking at the back end of Stoffel Van Dorn as we have to give Wehrlein some room through turn 2. We do so, and now as Palmer and Van Dorn go side by side, the same for Kvyat and Romain Grosjean. We're going to overtake the Belgian down the inside, and the same for Jolyon Palmer. Lock up on the right tyre, but to the inside of that curbing, try and squeeze him out on the exit. Meanwhile, Kvyat still trying to fight Grosjean hard, and they're going neck and neck, and this may help us when we close up to them as Grosjean squeezes out the Russian, and we're unable to make a move. We have to get right up the gearbox, though, of the Toro Rosso car, but we're past Palmer at least, and we're up at P13. So lap 16 now. We've got 13 laps left. We're in P13 now. Now it's going to be P12. We aggressively squeeze out Danica Kvyat. And so we've got still quite a lot of laps left in this Grand Prix. So I still think we could get some decent points. And really also the question is, maybe are some people yet to make a pit stop? Did some people come in with me under the safety car? I definitely did, obviously, to make the front wing change, but I don't know if a lot of people did come into the pit lane for a free pit stop, so we may actually be gaining quite a few positions still as we nip down the inside aggressively on Romain Grosjean up into P11 now on lap 17. And so now the next car along is Marcus Ericsson in P10. I think that's Ericsson still on the same set of tyres, potentially, from the start of the Grand Prix. Maybe he's made one pit stop, but that's what I'm talking about. There's a few cars up here that definitely I think are going to make another pit stop, so we may be getting more positions. We go down the inside then to the outside for the next left-hander, and we're up into P10, so already into the points, having already had that monumental crash. And as we close up to Felipe Massa then on lap 18 through the final corner, and Stroll's just up ahead, you can see some cars fighting, and also some cars coming to pit lane, including Stroll and three other cars, and we're going to climb up to what is going to be P5, it looks like, as now Palmer tries to slipstream us on super soft tyres. We do a good enough job with DRS and rich mix and the Mercedes engine in the back of this car to stay ahead for now of the Renault-powered Renault, and we're going to stay in P5. Change the strategy on our indicator on the bottom right. We're going to accept that to the super softs, lap 21, as basically we're making the same pit stop as everyone else is, and we're going to keep P5. So Massa comes to the pit lane then, and we're going to continue on, and there's another person in the pit lane, maybe? No, that's Sergio Perez continue on in P3, but look at this, we're back to P4. We're basically back to where we were before we even crashed, so nothing has actually happened too much. That crash has actually meant squat for our race. It's actually gone from what looked like a disaster in this race to actually it was just a minor inconvenience for us to have crashed in that way with the two Ferrari cars, because now we're in P3, lap 21. We're ignoring the pit stop indicator right now as Perez came in this lap, so Perez actually blocked my pit stop on lap 21, so we're going to wait till the next lap 22, to come in on the super soft tyres. Now you may be wondering why I'm coming in, why don't I just stay out? There's no point staying out because I can't catch Ricciardo, I can't catch the other two cars ahead of me, so I may as well pit now, because otherwise there may be a chance that I fall back in this Grand Prix. So I'd rather pit now and try my luck, maybe trying to catch Perez on a fresh set of tyres. When I say fresh, they're not going to be completely fresh because we don't actually have a complete new set of super softs left in this race. They're kind of worn, they're scrub tyres, but they're going to be about maybe 5 to 8% worn, so that means technically the tyre will actually heat up a lot faster. That's what happens with scrub set of tyres, but the wear rate's not too much, so we come out just behind or ahead of Vettel. Let's go toe to toe, and it's going to be behind, unfortunately for us, into turn 2. Vettel does get it, but here we go, he's straight out of the car a lot faster. He's on medium tyres, so he should have a lot better grip, and as I said, our tyres should heat up pretty damn fast, being a scrub set around the outside, and it looks like Vettel squirmed around on the entry, and oh, there's a Red Bull out there on the left hand side, yellow flags. And I think that's one of the Red Bull cars out of this Grand Prix, and I think it may be Daniel Ricciardo with a mechanical failure. So we're in P5 for now. Raikkonen's ahead of us, and so I'm not too sure if Raikkonen's yet to make a pit stop, so it looks like maybe we may have to settle for P5 in this Grand Prix as we go on to towards the last lap of the Grand Prix at the end of lap 28, and it's been pretty plain sailing because, as I said, I'm on super softs, Vettel's on medium, so the Force India can definitely actually match the Ferrari car on two softer compounded tyres, but Vettel does go for it on the left-hand side. You can see in the mirrors and the proximity arrow, he tries to move to the outside. We lock up on the right, but we do defend very simply to the inside of turn 1, and we are going to keep P5, I think, towards the end of this Grand Prix. But I think it's going to be Max Verstappen with a second win in a row, I think, in the Bahrain Grand Prix? Yes, it is. You can see on the top left. So Verstappen wins it. So for all that talk of the Red Bull cars losing pace this afternoon from qualifying, Verstappen has gone ahead and won his second race in a row in Season 5 after coming back to Red Bull, replacing my seat that I obviously left. We come home in P5, which all in all is a pretty decent effort considering that crash. Vettel comes through unscathed as well, to be honest. So both myself and Vettel and Raikkonen as well. Raikkonen finished ahead of us in P4. All three of us, even though we had such a dramatic looking crash, actually ended up okay. And my teammate Sergio Perez, Checo, gets P3 in this race. Fabulous job for him. I'm really happy with him, actually. As a team, obviously, we got that really good tandem finish at the Chinese Grand Prix in P4 and P5, was it, last episode. And now Checo's got a podium. I got the win in the first race. So, all in all, me and Checo, so far, 3 rounds gone, we're looking like a very strong team, actually. And for the constructors, that may pay off real big dividends, because so far, the Mercedes cars have had one car out in every single race. Obviously, the first 2 are mechanical failures. This time, Bottas out due to the crash, but still, that's going to be that consistency from not only me, but Perez as well, is going to come in handy. But we're second in the championship still. Verstappen keeps the lead, and he's actually extended that by quite some way, 21 points. So, in terms of the fight for the championship, we kind of have to hope that maybe Ferrari, you know, the likes of Mercedes, Renault, and myself included, kind of maybe buck up a little bit to try and take the fight to Verstappen, because at the moment, he's the man on the mission with 2 wins on the trot and already having a commanding lead in the championship of 21 points. But you can see all the teams pretty happy with us all around the paddock. Obviously, getting a Force India to P5 is still pretty damn decent, and so far, a very nice start to this season, and especially this race. You know, when we're crashing into the pit wall, my heart dropped. I thought that was completely race over for us. We're going to be well out of the points, but then the safety car came out, and obviously no one pit really. Not many people pit because it was quite awkward. It was like the perfect time for the safety car to come out because it was too early for people to make a free pit stop for another set of tyres. So everyone just stayed out, and obviously I had to make a pit stop either way. So worked out for us in the end. So guys, if you have enjoyed that race, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And you know, to get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. Hope you enjoy it the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.